Hi everyone. It's Monday around 3:20 by now. If you are on your email, you should have received a message from me announcing some changes to tonight's class. But I want to upload this video to kind of talk through what those changes are, and hopefully this way we can get everybody on the same page. So the announcement that you received from me is here on the screen now. And this is letting you know that tonight's class materials are located in the weekly content folder, just as they usually are, and that I made a change to tonight's assignment from what is listed on the syllabus. And what's listed on the syllabus is that you will be doing an interview of an administrator for a mental health counseling practice that sees primarily Medicaid clients. And I've decided to cancel that assignment. I've received emails from a couple of people who had some concerns about their ability to locate an administrator, and I am sympathetic to those concerns. I do think it is possible for everyone to come in contact with a local mental health administrator. This would just basically be someone that oversees a mental health counseling agency, and the administrator may or may not also be a counselor. Sometimes the administrator is the person who is more of the business mindset of an agency, but sometimes it is a counselor who has purchased an agency or started an agency from the ground up for themselves and then moved into an administrative role as that practice expands and gets bigger. But either way, you're not going to be completing that assignment. What you are going to be doing for tonight is to make sure that you thoroughly read chapters 6 through 9. This is a big chunk of your textbook, and I really, really want to make sure that you have a thorough understanding of the treatment system. We're going to talk about this in detail in class next week with our lecture and discussion, so it's really important that you have done a thorough reading of those chapters so that you can participate in a really meaningful way in our lecture and discussion next week. I recommend that you make questions and comments in your margins of your textbook or on a separate sheet of paper. If you are doing note taking, it's always preferable to do note taking by hand rather than on a computer. The studies indicate that there's better retention when you do handwritten note taking. So item number 2 on the list here on the screen is that, again, you're not going to interview an administrator as is listed on the syllabus. Instead, what you're going to do is the current events presentation that everyone in class is already going to do anyway. So at the beginning of the semester, you all signed up on the wiki, which is located here. I'm going to click on it under the course syllabus, and then you'll see the wiki that is the roster for the current events presentation. I'll click on that again. This should look familiar to you. And give it a sec. Okay. So you can see that Chris was our first person to attend. Jarrett, Shauna, and Laura all presented. Then last week we had to reschedule those presentations. That means that on October 13th, next week, there would be 3 people going. The week after that, there'll be 4 people, and then 3 and 3. And what I have just realized is that's going to be 45 minutes for each of these sessions on October 20th through the 17th, and about an hour and a half of time devoted in class to current events presentations on October 13th. And I just don't want to spend that, not that I'm not very interested in your presentations, it's just that I don't want to give up that much of our time to talk through the material together. I really want to have a chance to focus more on being able to digest the materials and the things that you're doing during the off weeks. But I still think it's very important that each of you go through the exercise of identifying how something that's happening in the news is relevant to our profession. So keeping in mind no one is going to do an administrator or going to interview an administrator. And the four of you who have already given a current events presentation are going to have some separate instructions as to what's about to follow. So here on item number 2, given the time we have left in the semester, I've decided that instead of delivering current events presentations in class, and the current events assignment is posted in the syllabus as item number 3 on page 6, the assignment for tonight's class, tonight being October 6th, is to take what you would have done for your in-class current event and follow the same instructions but adapting it for an online discussion board post. So you're going to take your presentation, which if you read the instructions in the syllabus, you'll see that you have a 15-minute presentation, and you can, as part of that 15 minutes, you can incorporate an 8-minute video clip. That leaves 7 minutes of you talking through your presentation. So I want you to record yourself talking about your presentation just as you would have shared in the classroom. Also upload the link, the brief video clip, and then the handout that you've prepared. So I'm just kind of laying out the procedures right here for you to follow. What you're going to need to do is to go back in just as you would have done if we were in the classroom and read through the syllabus, item number 3, page 6, to make sure that you're getting all of those instructions followed for your current events presentation. Okay, now there's a few ways that you can do your recording. You can either go into PowerPoint and actually just record directly into PowerPoint and save your audio on each of your slides if you choose to use PowerPoint for your presentation, and that is not required. Think in mind of what Chris and Jarrett, Laura, and Shauna all did in the face-to-face class, and think about how you would adapt that to online. So all the same components are still there, no more than a 7-minute audio clip of yourself talking about your presentation and how it relates, how the current event relates to the field of counseling and you personally. No more than 8 minutes for the external video clip, and then a handout. This online posting of the current events presentation will take the place of the face-to-face presentation, and that will free up a lot more class time for us to keep doing activities, discussions, small groups activities, and so forth. If you have already delivered your face-to-face presentation, those are the people that are on the wiki and have already presented, you do not need to audio record this presentation. Instead, you're just going to upload your handout, upload your PowerPoint, and then post comments to your classmates by the times posted in the content folder. And I'll click over to that in a minute. If you have any questions about tonight's assignment, you can give me a call or text me on my cell phone. I really hope that this recording helps to clarify what is expected of you. I do have a meeting in Durham this afternoon, so there'll be some time when I'm on the road and can talk but not text, and some time when I'm just completely unavailable because I have to meet with somebody. It's actually in Chapel Hill. So I'll be back on campus tomorrow. Now, going to the weekly content folder, you'll find tonight, October 6th, the mental health care system. I've provided some discussion questions that I would like for you to consider as you read through chapters 6 through 9. These are questions that I'll bring up in our classroom for discussion next week when we're face-to-face. I'll give each of the tables one of these discussion questions, so make sure you're prepared for whichever question your table might get to be able to address those. Again, here is indicating that you're to read chapters 6 through 9, to post your current event to the discussion board, and then to review the additional resources. The timelines for posting to the discussion board, I'd like you to have your current event posted by Saturday, which is October 11th, and then post comments on 3 other students' presentations by the time class starts on Monday, October 13th. I really hope this is clear and not confusing. Just to say one more time that this current events presentation that will be happening on the discussion board takes the place of a face-to-face presentation. So to access this discussion board, you're going to click here, the current events discussion board. There's the instructions one more time. And you'll just go here, you'll click create thread and go from there. So the additional resources that are available tonight are the mental health financing in the United States. This is a PDF file, and some of it might be a little bit confusing to you, a lot to digest. I'm not expecting you to come at it from a economist perspective, but I do think it's really, really important to understand how much of our public mental health care system is financed through Medicaid, so that when current events related to health care and the Affordable Care Act and North Carolina Medicaid and all of these things pop up in the news, and they really are at this time, and especially at an election time, that you'll be able to understand how that relates to your job in a better way, or your future job. Then there's a video resource, Frontline Special, The New Asylums, and this is a really neat video series. It's a few years old, but it gives you an idea of what happened. There's so many people who have mental illness that end up in our jails and prisons. And so this video starts to give you an idea of, well, what kind of mental health care takes place for those people in jails and prisons. And as the title suggests, the new asylums, what they're saying is, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, as the state mental hospitals and the asylums were closing down, more people were out on the streets that could not fully care for themselves. And these people ended up oftentimes, or too often, becoming homeless or being picked up by the police and involved in some kind of crime, maybe even a minor crime, but ending up in jails and prisons when they could be receiving treatment and not end up in the criminal justice system. So this video that's embedded in Blackboard is only 13 minutes long, but it really does give you a good snapshot. And then if you want to go to watch more, you can follow the link here, pbs.org, to the rest of the series. Now, I'll show you real quick the Screencast-O-Matic option for recording your presentation if you'd like. Screencast-O-Matic is what I'm using right now. And I find it to be the easiest way to record presentations. And of course, it's not loading. Okay, finally, I had to switch my Wi-Fi network, but here's Screencast-O-Matic. It's really easy. Hit this start recording button. You're going to have to download a web application, and then you'll basically have a recording box show up on your computer screen, and whatever shows up in that recording box, whether it be your PowerPoint slides or your internet browser, then that's what will be recorded in the video. And you just audio over top of it. You cannot record for longer than 15 minutes at a time, and it's just really quick, really easy to learn how to use, and I enjoy it and use it for my class videos. Alrighty, everybody, have a good week, and let me know if you have any questions. Again, you have my cell phone number, always available by email, and we'll talk to you soon.